Hi everyone, welcome to this conversation about eduScrum. Today we are very lucky because we've got two former students. Actually, those two were the first two to use eduScrum in Spain back in 2017, right? So let's start with a little introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jaime. I actually study in Oviedo. I also live in Oviedo. And well, as Emmanuel said, I was a former student in eduScrum, and well, I'm here to try to explain my experience.
Okay. And for those who don't know Oviedo, it's in the north of Spain.
Yes, in the north of Spain, Asturias.
All right.
Very nice place.
Yes, indeed. Marina, how about you?
Hi, I'm Marina. I'm also from Oviedo. I'm a current student in IE University in Segovia of Business Administration and International Relations. And yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much for your time. I know you're very busy. And the idea of this conversation is for you to share your experience about eduScrum, even if it's years ago. Let's see if you remember something. So first question, how would you describe your overall experience with eduScrum?
I mean, it was many years ago, but if you compare it now to the experience that I'm having now at university, I think it's a very creative way and a very autonomous way of people to learn about whatever subject you're trying to implement it to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes, I think it's what Marina said. It's a different way of learning, which is quite interesting, and I had a great time a long time ago, but I had a great time.
All right, let's go back to the beginning of when we started with eduScrum. I do remember there were quite a few challenges. Could you comment those challenges you or your classmate came across?
Yes, there were quite a few challenges. The main challenge I remember was like you create groups and people who don't talk usually to each other now need to cope with each other to reach an objective, and they need to talk with each other, and you need to establish communication with people who you before didn't talk. So I think that's the main challenge I found. I remember from the past, but I don't know if Marina remembers anything else.
No, I think the main challenge was at the beginning trying to understand the whole point of eduScrum as a whole. Like, it was a completely different alternative way of learning that you have never heard about before. So trying to, because it's at the beginning, it's quite complex to understand, especially we were like 13. So it was a bit more difficult for us to get the whole point of it. And some of us, not me personally, but some people thought it was kind of useless because it was just letting 13-year-olds on their own. But once you get track of it, it's pretty easy, pretty simple, and super helpful.
What surprised you the most about eduScrum?
Oh, okay, I'll go. What surprised me the most was how like it gets people together. First, what Jaime mentioned before, you have to cooperate with people you didn't may talk with before, like classmates that may not be your closest friends. But it surprised me how you get to talk with those people more in depth, and not only inside the classroom but also outside the classroom, and how cooperation arises from nothing, like from literally just not talking to each other before to actually cooperating for a certain objective.
Yes, for me was the fact that with 13 you are talking to 13 years old, and you are like giving them like big responsibilities in order to pass a subject. Like you don't have a teacher who goes behind you all the time. You have to do your things, and you're basically giving the subject to 13 years old, and they need to manage with challenges. And yeah, that's what most surprised me about the education.
All right, thank you very much. Specifically, do you remember what skills or competency do you think you developed thanks to eduScrum?
In my case, I think teamwork, listening to others, like learning to learning to listen, because basically when you work on your own, you don't have other opinions. So your opinion, it's your opinion, and that's it. So when you work in a team, you have different points of view. So yeah, for me, it was listening to others and starting to know how to learn, know how to work in a team.
About like from the whole eduScrum, I think I got organization skills, because you have to, in leadership, because you're in a team, and for one objective, one of the 4 or 5, whatever the amount is, has to be a type of leader. Also, what Jaime said, listening to others. My organization now, on my own time, like I use it sometimes to just to organize myself, and I think that's it. Also, like critical thinking, and how to, instead of having just a lecture and actually just getting into your head, how to get a different approach from what you're learning it in a different way. I think it's a very good way of learning.
All right, thank you. And to connect with what you've just said, how did you feel about working in a team and having more autonomy over your learning?
I think it's something positive that at the beginning, like, because we were way younger. This was like 7 years ago, more or less. So at that age, at least me, I wasn't like aware of the autonomy that I was getting, and the how that would actually help me in the future, in a way that you get your autonomy. It's you who teaches yourself, and then whenever you have a question, a problem, something, then you can ask your other teammates, your teacher in that case. So it's the level of autonomy that you didn't like. You learn for yourself for the future. Now in uni you have to study. Sometimes some classes are useless. Maybe the professor isn't good enough for something, and you have to teach yourself that subject. So I think that really helped me my autonomous learning skills.
Yes, I basically have very similar opinion. Like I wasn't realizing that this was going to help me so much in the future. Like what Marina said, I was going to say, the fact that in some classes the teacher is not as good as you would like, so you need basically to do the things by yourself and look the information. So that autonomous learning is, I basically think, is the best. Thing.
Thank you. Great. A few more questions. Have you applied any of the practices or values of eduScrum in any other areas of your life, such as, I don't know, additional value studies, work, or any other personal projects?
Yes, basically today in class we were doing a project in a certain subject, which remembered me of eduScrum, because the teacher just gave us the lecture and said, you need to do this, you can do whatever you want, and I'm going to help you with just like certain doubts. I'm not going to be like all the time on you. So I remembered like this was like similar to eduScrum, and so working on a team, you have all the responsibility. Now it's much more easier because we are way older, so I think it's much more easier. And yeah, that's it.
For me, as a dual degree student, like sometimes the workload is too much, and sometimes you have to multitask because you need to do it, because everything's too much, it's too overwhelming. But what actually helped me, right now in my room, I have like to do, in process, in progress, and done. And once I like that way, I don't have to multitask that much. I see what I have in progress. I see what I've done, and I can see how I actually progressed, and I haven't multitasked that much. Which actually, if you multitask, isn't good, because it messes up with your head so much, because you have so many things in your head. And once you get to organize yourself, having to do in progress and done, it's way easier.
All right, thank you. What advice would you give to a student who is about to start with eduScrum?
For me,
yeah, sorry.
for me, it's just like you don't need to worry. Like basically, just let it be. Like flow in eduScrum, because first you may be really worried if this is good or no, or you're going to be like comfortable in eduScrum, but just don't worry and just trust the process. It's really good.
Similar to what Jaime said, just go with the flow. At the beginning, you might think it's kind of useless. It depends at what age you're starting, but like if at the beginning some people might think this is useless, like there's like how am I supposed to teach this to myself? So many people might think it's useless at the beginning, but just go with the flow and you'll obviously see how you progress so much, not just yourself, but as a whole team, how your cooperative skills improve, your autonomy, your leadership. There's many skills that you will improve. And also not just for that project, like you won't see just the progress in that project that you're trying to do with eduScrum, but also in the future for yourself and your other skills.
Wow, thank you. Okay, final question. Would you recommend eduScrum to other teachers?
Honestly, I would, but I would try to do it with older students instead, like with ones that are already mature enough to understand what's going on and that have the critical thinking skills about what's going to happen right now. So I would especially go towards uni, higher, like high school, like senior year instead of, I don't know, like 13, 14 years old, because at that point, I mean, at the beginning, like 13, 14 years old, it's going to obviously develop their leadership and their autonomy and everything. But I think that to have a higher success rate as a whole, I think it would be more successful into senior or uni students. But I would definitely recommend.
That's
Yes,
interesting.
I would.
Sorry, just one thing, if you can just jump in there. It's interesting what you're saying, Marina, because I've seen some students, like primary students, using eduScrum. It was quite amazing. Yeah, I mean the level of autonomy was, I think, much higher than what we can see even in some organization. So it was interesting. Jaime.
So yes, I would also recommend it to the teachers to use eduScrum, because like I know teachers want always to have the control of the class and they want to be the leaders of the class in some way, but it's also good for the students to get importance inside the class and they feel important. And I agree with Marina that it's like it would be more successful if you apply it to students older, but I also think that 12, 13, 10 years old, it's also good because they are going to start developing those skills, and as soon as you develop them, it's much better for the future.
All right, thank you. I like what you mentioned, is the idea of empowerment, also trust again, and letting go of control from the part of the teachers. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. Okay, been very valuable, and well, looking forward to seeing you very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.